Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Like probably a lot or most of K-pop fans, I have been attempting to learn Korean for a long time. Honestly, it's probably been about a decade since I've started sort of trying to learn Korean. And my level of Korean is low. Like I would say below intermediate, like not quite a beginner, but not quite an intermediate. I'm somewhere in there. And most of that is because I'm really bad at learning languages. I grew up monolingual, so I never knew how to speak another language. Like I'm Canadian, so we learned French from like grade 1 to grade 4, but I didn't really learn anything in there. And then the only other language I've ever been able to be like conversational in is American Sign Language, which is a much different way to learn a language because it's not a spoken or written language, right? Like it's just like a different thing. It's different parts of your brain, it's a different thing. So I've never successfully become conversational in any other spoken language other than English. And although I've tried and with Korean and Japanese throughout the years, I never stick with it long enough to actually see like good results. For me, I learned Hangul kind of organically, I would say, like just from watching Shiny content from like 2008 to 2012. Like I learned to read Hangul mostly because I was able to I learned what word, like I learned that this meant shiny and this meant all of the members' names, and then I was able to these characters must mean Min because it's Taemin and Min Ho, and the little line must be like the E or I or E sound because it's in Shiny and it's in Taemin and Minho. Like that kind of thing. Like that's how I learned Hangul, was just recognizing words that would come up over and over again and then kind of piecing it together through that. But I didn't really try and learn the actual language. Like I think I probably, again, learned to say like hello and thank you just because I heard them a lot. But then I took Korean class in university. So that was about 2012, 2013. I took at beginner and intermediate Korean. That was all they offered at my university. I took both of them and learned a little bit more, but still not very much because I am the kind of person that I really don't like studying. And so generally when I'm in school, I study for the test, but that doesn't actually mean that I've actually learned the material. I've just memorized it enough to do the test and then it leaves my brain. So didn't learn, but I improved a little bit. And then I did in 2014, I went to Korea and did the Ipho Women's University Summer College program thing. And so I took a Korean class there again and I learned probably a little bit. But otherwise, that's the only classes I've ever taken, and it's just been self-studying other than that. And I'm the kind of person, I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this, where I will start studying and I'll be really motivated and I'll like spend a lot of time like studying, but I'm kind of impatient, so I want to like move on to the next thing without like really learning one thing. And so I try and go really fast through all the materials because I want to like I want to go through it fast. I want to get to the next thing, and then I'll get bored or I'll get busy and I'll stop studying for like 8 or 9 months, and then I'll try and come back to it, but I have to learn everything I already learned once because I didn't remember any of it, and then I'm just stuck in the loop of only learning the same like few things over and over again and never actually improving. That's where I've been for probably like 5 or 6 years, just perpetually learning the same things over and over again. But I am going to Japan and Korea at the end of May, so I'm like, at least until then, come on Allie, at least until then, attempt to get a little bit better in Korean. Like I'm probably good enough at Korean. I'm not very good, but I'm able to like read Hangul and I can like get around in Korea. Like I can ask for things or like say thank you and hello and things like that. Like, so I think, and I've been to Seoul before and I know that I'll be fine, but I still would like to be conversational, even just a little bit, like, or be able to like watch a TV show every once in a while and be able to understand parts of it, or go to a concert and understand parts of what is being said. You know what I mean? Like my expectations are pretty low. I just want to be able to be like, to know a little bit more than I know for being a fan of K-pop and listening to Korean like every day of my life for the past 15 years. Like, you know, it's hard to say that and then be like, oh, but I actually don't know any of the language. So that's what I'm trying to do. And so in this video, what I thought to keep myself hopefully motivated to do it for longer, because I put it out onto the internet, I can't give up now, is to show you the things that I'm doing right now to like, using as like my tools that I'm using to try and like improve my language skills, and also have this open to be like, if you guys have any language tips that you have, leave them down below. Maybe you're a learner who's new and you're looking for some advice, or you're already like a advanced Korean language learner, and then you have some advice for people who are kind of just starting or near the beginning. I would love for all of the advice down below. So yeah, this video is just gonna kind of be just like go overview of like the tools that I'm trying to use right now. And then at the end of the video, I think I'm gonna read you a story in Korean, but we'll get there, First off, I'll show you the textbooks that I'm using, or like the books that I'm using, because again, I'm not trying to go to school in Korean, like I'm not trying to like go to university in Korea, so I'm not trying to get like an academic level of Korean. I am totally satisfied just being able to like have a slight conversation with somebody. So textbooks aren't always gonna be the thing that I gravitate to, because I'm like, and I find textbooks hard because a lot of the sentences are like, well, I would never say that like that, and like it doesn't, so that's not really helpful to me. But I have some textbooks, so I'll probably end up using them at least a little bit. So the first textbooks that I have that I'm sure I will use at least a little bit are these integrated Korean textbooks. These are the ones I used when I was in university taking classes. So that's why I have the beginning 1, beginning 2, and intermediate 1 textbooks, because that's all they offered at my university at the time. So I will use these probably at least a little bit, just, you know, for certain things. They do have like some vocabulary at the back and stuff that, you know, just to improve your vocabulary, because that's always something you're lacking. Like it's hard to, you can know all the grammar in the world, but if you don't have any vocabulary, it's not going to help you. But yeah, I've just had these for forever, so I should use them. Let's hope that I use them. And then to go along with those, I also have the Integrated Korean Intermediate 1 workbook that, again, we were for school. I must have had the beginning workbooks, but they're gone. If they're gone, I don't know. This one has some stuff filled in from back in the day when I was in school, so, but I do think that this will be a useful thing to go back and kind of retry a lot of this stuff again, just like as like a ways to have practice. Hopefully it'll help me with like my sentence structure and stuff, so that's why I will use those. Another thing that I'm using, I don't actually have the physical textbooks other than this one, is Talk to Me in Korean. This is the level 1 workbook. However, I'm currently on level 2 for Talk to Me in Korean, but I have the Kindle versions, the ebooks for those. So I'm using them on my iPad currently. And what I will do is what I'm trying to do, at least to not overwhelm myself, is to do 1 lesson a day. So go through the lesson, do like the exercise questions, and then I have the corresponding level 2 workbook, and then do that level's workbook in the day, and try and then sort of review what else I had learned, so that I don't do what I normally do, is go too fast and learn nothing, just trying to get to the next thing. And I do like those textbooks quite a lot. I find that they haven't been overwhelming with the amount of information that they're giving you. Like, I like that the lessons usually are really short, like it's one thing that you're learning, so that's much more like, okay, I can learn this one thing. Like, just, I can, you know, it's one thing, I can do it, I can do that. Like, instead of having to be like, here's an entire chapter of like 300 pages of every grammar point that you should know by now. It's like, oh, I don't know. But so I like that they seem like they're palatable for me. Another thing that I will probably be using at least a little bit, is just because I have it, is this, I have the Korean Standard Dictionary. This is the like English and Korean version. So it has like Korean to English translations, and then it also has English to Korean translations, or like dictionary entries, which I think is useful, especially if you're somebody who, you know, again, you don't have all the vocabulary in the world, but you know what the word is in English. But you're like, well, I'd like to say this word, which I know in English, but I don't know in Korean, or the opposite way around. You're like, I see this word. What does this word mean? You can look it up, you know, both ways. And having a physical book sometimes is nice. Obviously, you can just Google it or use it like a translator like Papago or whatever, but I have the book, you know. Another thing that I'm actually doing as well to try and practice things, because again, I'm good at memorizing. I can memorize the sample sentences all day long, but that doesn't really help me learn it, because that means I can't, if I'd only memorize the sample sentences, then I'll never be able to use them organically, like out of my own brain. So what I've I've seen other people recommend it. I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna try it this time, is I have an app. I'm not sure what it's called. I'll hopefully I'm gonna put some footage of what it looks like on the thing, but it's like a note, not like a note taking, but like a kind of like Good Notes, but it's just like one big page instead of multiple pages where you can write stuff down. And I've decided that every once in a while I'm gonna do like a journal entry, very simple journal entry, but trying to use the grammar and vocabulary that I learned previously, like just as a way to practice it in my own sentences, using my own things. And there's like no consequences, because I also don't like being wrong and I don't like showing people that I'm wrong, but nobody's looking at this. It's just for me. And I mean, I guess I'm showing it to you right now, my one journal entry, but there's no consequences. Like if it's wrong, that's okay, because I'm hoping that it'll also track my progress, so I'll be able to check it at some point and go like, oh, I recognize that this is wrong now. Like that's a cool thing. And it'll also be like, look at me and how much Korean I can write, even if the sentences are simple, woohoo. I'm also using the same thing to write down just Korean vocab. Like anytime I just see vocab that I think is something that I could maybe need, I'm just writing it down, just again as a way to practice, to hopefully like keep it locked in my brain, so that if I see it come up again, I will know what it means. Another thing that I'm doing that I think is useful for me is, obviously I like K-pop and I like SHINee, hello, and I have a lot of things related to K-pop and SHINee that are in Korean, so why not use them to try and up my languagey skills a little bit. I mean, there's lots of vocab that I don't know, but just like a little bit. So I have like these bromides that are all in Korean. I have a couple of them, and this one is the one that I started using, and so I would read the cover, and then anytime I didn't know a word, I would put a sticky note with like the vocab or whatever on it, and just to like have something, you know, to get better at reading. And it's also like, I know SHINee, so, and I know K-pop related terms, or some of them at least, so like it's like, oh, like I know that, or I've heard that word before and now I know what it means, and like it related to the K-pop space, which is again just because it's nice to learn vocabulary for all different types of areas, but it's better to learn vocabulary for stuff that you will be talking about or listening to, or like you know something about, you have like a schema for it. It's just much easier when you already kind of know what it is than if you're like, if I was trying to learn vocab for like engineering, I don't know anything about engineering, so that'd be very difficult. Or like religion, I don't really know anything about religion, so trying to learn religious terms would be difficult, because like I don't know what they are in English, and I don't understand in English, so it'd be harder to understand it in another language. But I know SHINee, I got SHINee, so this has been really fun. I don't know a lot of the vocabulary, so it's really hard to go through it, because it's like, obviously it's not meant for language learners, but it's still fun anyway, just like to do a few sentences, kind of just to be like, ooh, especially if I understand the sentence, I'm like, I did it, I feel so accomplished. Because these would be things that one day I would love to be able to like read these. Not like, I mean, somewhat fluently would be very cool. I love that. And then for apps, there's one more book, but I'll talk about that at the end. But for apps, right now I'm using the app Memrise, like Memrise. And I've really enjoyed it so far. I actually paid money for this app. You get part of it free. You get, I think, like the first like 30 words free, and then you can pay. But it was on like a sale, and like for like just the annual thing wasn't that expensive. So I was like, you know what? And I enjoyed it. So I think that I'm gonna keep going with it. And I really like it because it does like the same sentences, like kind of over and the same like vocab or the same grammar points over and over and over again in kind of different sentences and in different ways. So you'll listen to it, or you'll see it in English and have to translate it, or you'll have to write it out. Like they do it in a lot of different ways to really drill it into your brain, which I like. And the videos where you're listening to it are often different people in different kind of situations saying it, so you get to hear it in like the actual accent of a Korean person, and not just like kind of the robot standard 안녕하세요 thing, which I think is really helpful as well, because obviously people in any language don't pronounce every single word exactly how you would get it pronounced if, like, you know, each individual phonetically thing. So I've really enjoyed that so far as an app, and it's like and each sort of lesson is pretty quick. So again, it's something where I'm not spending hours and hours and hours on it, but if I have a couple minutes, I can just quickly kind of do it. And I try and like, again, you know, read the sentences out and use them just to keep it up. And Tuida, is that how you say it? Tuida? Yeah, Tuida. I love that app. I used it a lot, and then when I took my last like break from learning Korean, I kind of fell off it, but I've been starting it up again. It's such a good app. It's like in a way where you get to like it feels like you're actually speaking to somebody, because it like hears your pronunciation. A little annoying if you have a shitty accent like mine, because I'm like, I'm saying it right, but you're not. I'm trying. And it's like, so, but it feels more natural because it's like a conversation, and they have a ton of different things. Like if you're a really big fan of K-dramas, you can actually like go through like a K-drama-y type thing where like you're falling in love with a boy or whatever. Like I think that's really interesting, and just like a different way to do it. Again, kind of feels a little bit more natural-y, and they have really like good kind of clear lessons. I really, really like it and enjoy it. And at least, you know, you can do a lot of it for free. There is, of course, a premium option, as there is for anything, but I really like it so far. I think it's a really good app if you're looking, especially to improve your speaking, like your conversational speaking. I think it's a good app, so I would recommend. And then the last thing that I will show you guys that I'm going to be using is this book. I'm sure you've seen it before if you've ever like tried to like Google like books for learning Korean. It's come up, but this is the Korean Stories for Language Learners. It's traditional folktales in Korean and English. And this is a book that, again, I guess let me know if you think it's useful, but for me it's like a good, you know, reading comprehension, like speaking comprehension, because you can speak it out loud. It has you know, that it has like the English translation, it has all the vocabulary, it has like comprehension questions and like pre-reading questions. It just is like, just as a way to read something that maybe isn't necessarily like textbook reading. Like this is actual, like it's a story, right? That's fun. And what I thought I could do with this book, I'll do it at the end of this video, and then maybe I'll continue doing it on TikTok, because I don't know how many of these videos I'll make, because my progress probably won't be very, like, I won't have a lot of progress each video, so I don't know how exciting it would be. But let me know, I guess, if you want to see more of like me studying or like progress updates or something. But I thought it'd be fun to read the stories on here, because I'm really scared of speaking Korean in public, which is stupid, but I'm embarrassed to speak Korean because I know that my pronunciation is not very good, and I'm just nervous. I'm nervous to speak where somebody could understand me or know Korean and then not understand me. Like that's and like, again, it's a stupid fear that I have to get over. So hopefully this will help me get over it, which is because that's a big reason why I don't have like a one-on-one tutor, because I'm so nervous to speak Korean, even though that's the whole point of why you'd have a teacher. The teacher, like, they know that I'm like, I know. It's an issue that I have in all aspects of my life, where like, if I'm nervous about something, then I don't take it seriously, and then I don't learn anything. So that's annoying. So hopefully this will help me with that. But I thought that it would be fun to like, I'll read it out and then I'll show the like English translation, the vocab, the comprehension question thing, so then you can, for the story that I'll read today, you can then kind of look over it. And I think it'll be good for my reading comprehension, my speaking skills, and if you are a language learner, it might help you for comprehension, listening comprehension. You can listen to the story and see if you understand any of it. And if you are maybe a native speaker or a more advanced Korean learner, I'm open to constructive criticism on my speaking skills. Please don't be mean, because I'm very nervous about speaking in public. But if you have any like constructive, like, oh, I noticed you consistently pronounce this thing wrong, or this would help you with your pronunciation, anything like that would be beneficial. But yeah, so that's the end of what I am trying to do to learn Korean. Before we get on to the story, let me know in the comments if you have other resources, or if you're also learning Korean, like just let me know. I think it'd be fun to have like a little safe space to like talk about your struggles, which can be in the comments, because like I'm not very good. And like, I'm impressed by anybody who's attempting to learn a new language. It's hard. Let me know if there's other languages that you speak, or because you don't even have to be learning Korean. If you're learning any language, let me know how it's going and what other resources you're using or what things you find useful or not useful. Let me know. It would be wonderful. So now let us get on to the first story in this book. I'm like procrastinating because I'm nervous. I'm not going to do the first 2 stories in this book because they're very, very, very short for like the very beginners. And that's no fun. We're going to go with the first, it's the 3rd story in this book. I think while I'm speaking, I will maybe also put up the Korean in there. So if you're somebody who's also watching the video, you can either just listen to this part or you can watch and listen and, you know, for your reading comprehension as well. Let's see. Okay. Whew, I'm nervous. Okay. So this story is called 동물의 황여우. 어느 날 여우가 숲 속을 걷고 있었습니다. 갑자기 호랑이가 나타났습니다. 여우는 호랑이가 무서웠습니다. 하지만 여우는 호랑이에게 말했습니다. 내가 무섭지? 나는 동물의 왕이야. 호랑이는 믿지 않았습니다. 여우는 호랑이에게 가지 뒤를 따라오라고 말했습니다. 동물들이 여우 뒤에 호랑이를 보고 돌아났습니다. 호랑이는 여우가 동물의 왕이라고 믿었습니다. Okay, there we go. Oh, there we go. Oh, I'm embarrassed. But I did it. Okay, there we go. And then here I will put the English translation of the story just so that you can see how good your comprehension was. With that, I guess I will end this video here. So thank you so much for watching. Again, let me know if this is something you would like to see maybe more of, like my progress or what else I'm doing to try and learn to keep me motivated, things like that. Or yeah, just if you have any ideas for like using Korean in videos, let me know if there's anything that you'd like to see. Let me know if you're learning Korean, how your learning is going. I would love to know and love to chat about it. Yeah, I guess that's all that I have then to say. So thank you guys so much for watching. You can subscribe down below if you'd like. You can also follow me on Instagram and TikTok. I'm diamondfishart everywhere. And like I said, I'll be going to Japan and Korea at the end of May. So there will be videos on that coming up. Like I for sure will be vlogging while I'm there. And I probably will be opening up another Instagram account just for those sort of photos so I don't overload the Instagram that I already have, but I will keep you guys updated on Instagram about that, so if that's something you're interested in. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a really good rest of your day. Bye!